Greetings and welcome to Roman of the Empire. I am your host, Roman. So normally Father Miller has his show right now, but he had to cancel for a couple of reasons, so here we are. It's been an interesting week. It's been an interesting week because of this guy, Eric July, and what he has done in the last 5 days. I see the comic book. Rippaverse is the universe he's created. And the goal of $100,000 has been blown out of the water. He is at $1,792,000 and some change. That is an entirely organic campaign that he started for this comic book world that he is creating. That's incredible. I talked a little bit about this on my show last night. Marvel and DC should be literally pooping in their baby pants, because this is the way of the future. There are a lot of naysayers that I have seen out there poo-hooing what he has accomplished with this. Oh, I have my friend in Scotland is supposed to be joining me. What time? My time. There he is. We're gonna let my friend Peter join the conversation here.
Hello.
Hey, greetings.
It's 12 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock over here. So.
I apologize for the time shift error. It's my fault. I blame me for this. How are things on your end?
Because it's an afternoon, so I know there's a time difference. So, so hello.
So yeah, I figured Father's not doing his normal spot, so
Exhausted, so he's
figured something to fill the void, and that something is us.
Yep, and we're always good to fill the void.
There's probably a bad joke in there. I'm just letting it lie.
As long as we don't create the void, we're okay.
So I don't know if you've been following it on your side, Peter. The Rippaverse and Eric July. Have you heard about that?
Yes, I have. I'm looking at getting it, joining in, but with it gives you the postage for the States, so I don't know what the postage cost would be.
Oh, got it.
I've been looking at it. Yes,
I
looked. It was at 1.5.
So it's 1. It's almost at 1.8 million now.
Yeah,
and I talked a little bit about this on my show last night. Just how impressive this is and why it is.
Yes, But it goes to show people want good stuff, and following Ripper, he knows his stuff, so it's going to be good.
Exactly. No, and he's a man. And I went over his canon points yesterday. Because he literally wants to give the comic book customer what they want, which is the complete opposite of what DC and Marvel have been doing.
And the big difference is he wants customers. He doesn't want to drive people away. He wants to bring people in. Doesn't care about anything else. As long as you want them, we'll supply the story, and that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, his agenda is the customer.
Yeah.
Oops. What am I doing? Oh, dear Lord. Something bad happened. Let me close that. Oh my goodness. Sorry, I've got my computer. I hadn't actually planned on doing a broadcast, so my setup is slightly backwards right now. So the things that should be opening on the other screen are opening on this screen.
Yeah, I'm the same.
And that's okay.
I've got three screens, so I have to move things before I open them. Yeah, it's very unfortunate sometimes when you're going, and then it's boom.
But I just looked at what the things Marvel and DC have been pushing for the last few years have been just utter rubbish. Is a nice way of saying it.
I stopped buying comics when it was a Spectacular Spider-Man. I started reading it because I love Spider-Man. And as soon as they put Doc Ock into Spidey's body and the way it was going as if he was going to be the hero, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, Doc Ock is the villain. He's not the hero.
Yes.
And they're basically building him up to be the hero. And I thought, nope. And I just stopped. That was it. That was the last comic I bought. I didn't even finish the run. I just stopped.
I stopped some time ago. I'm still, keeping current on what's coming out in the world because you kind of have to be. But I don't really buy new books anymore. I wait for collective editions to come out of things that I think still look interesting, and then I buy those.
I do that with the Judge Dredd and stuff like that. I buy the omnibus, the big books, or the actual books rather than the the graphic novels. So I was trying to think, what's the word? Graphic novels. So they do graphic novels, but they also do books. So I deal with, I get those. And the same as things like Rollbusters and stuff like that. I'll pick them up. Anything that was 2000 AD, I still like to read, but instead of buying the comics, I'll buy. Because the last time I went in to buy a 2000 AD comic, went to pay for it, and the woman goes, how much?
Oh yeah, that's
what?
for single edition books, because there are a couple things that I've been watching. Wakazishi's Tea House over in Japan, Gray, has been doing. He does comic reviews all the time, and he's brought up some stuff that looks interesting and good. Like the Spawn books look good. The Gunslinger Spawn, King Spawn, and they're $2.99, and that's for your normal size comic. Yep. World's Finest, which I thought looked pretty good, those are $5.99 a book. That's an awful lot for a comic book.
2000 AD, and there's about 2 of the stories, because a lot of the newer stories I don't really care about. I like the old classic stories. So the Judge Dredd, easy peasy.
Right.
Took that up. Some of the third tales, if they pop up, I love those. And I thought, I think I'll just wait until they come in the big books, and I'll get the full story. And instead of paying £6 per edition, I'll pay £15 and get everything.
Yes, and I'm the same way. That's that's one of the other things that's exciting about the Ripa comic, from the Ripaverse comic, is that it's a 96-page book. Now, granted, it's not inexpensive, but you know where that money is going. One, you're paying for quality. You're not paying for woke, political, agenda-driven garbage. You're paying for a story, and that's what he has 3 tenets. It's respect the customer, and and he makes a point of you don't have to give us your money. We need to earn it through doing a good job and making a good product. Cool. Marvel and DC give 2 shits about any of that.
You and Marvel take our stuff and shut up about it. That's it. That's their attitude.
And so I don't mind paying a little bit more for something that is designed for people like us.
Yeah.
It's not. I don't know who Marvel and DC are writing for. They're not writing for the fans. I think they are largely writing for themselves.
No, unfortunately, I know who they're writing for. It's Gary calls it the normies, right? my nephew highlighted it to me, the last family thing, and we were talking about the Mandalorian. The greatest thing since sliced bread. It is the most fantastic show. And I'm saying, but what about this? What about? It says, oh no, the new stuff makes all the old characters look bad, and that's because they're bad. And I'm sitting there thinking, there you go, there's who he's aiming for. And my nephew is a smart kid, and well, kid, he's an adult, but he's smart. He's a hard worker, but he's bought into all this that because we've created Rey, that means Luke's rubbish, and because we've created Kylo Ren, it shows how bad Darth Vader was, and it's literally that because he's bought in that these characters show that these ones aren't powerful and they're no good at what they did. These ones are better, and that's who they're selling to. They're selling to people who just want to consume and don't care about the backstory. And my nephew's unfortunately just one of those.
That sucks.
Is it definitely? Explained to me how it is the greatest thing, and I says, but what about this? What about that? I know the old characters are no powerful. This character's more powerful than that one, which means that one's bad. This character's better at this, that means that one. So when they were talking, I says, well, Luke Skywalker is the quintessential Jedi. He basically, you saw his growth from the first movie to the third movie, and he goes, "Oh no, Rey was better."
Yes,
and it's because he was told.
The Mary Sue.
Yeah, exactly. He was told Rey was better, so he didn't care. That was it. And I thought, no, I'm walking away before I say something I regret. I obviously said it anyway, but I didn't regret it. But it's a case of, really? I just could not believe it when I was hearing it. And I thought, that's who they're making it for. That's the type of things they're putting out because you've been told you must like this. And they go, I like it because you told me it was good. And no, they have to prove it's good. And the Ripper is basically saying, here's my book. We've designed it with a story. We've taken all this rubbish out of it. We want you to buy it. And then, you know fine well, if you buy it and you read it and go, I didn't really like that character. He's not going to turn around and say, well, you need to buy the next one. He's going to say, sorry, we'll try and make it better the next time.
Right.
He's basically going to listen to what people say. So if somebody doesn't like it, he's not going to say, well, you must be racist because I wrote it. He's going to say, what didn't you like about it? Tell us.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. You can
see
the way he's promoting it, the way he's talking about it. He's so enthused with it. It's that's the person you want to buy from. And I don't see.
Absolutely. I don't know if you saw some of the feedback that not the good feedback, but the trolls.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa!
Yeah,
the names nice, they are calling him.
Very nice white liberals who are saying all inclusive. So I'll call the word that nobody's allowed to say, and they think just because they say it's fine, no problem. And they get away. And
the criticism is obviously absurd, and from people who haven't looked at this page at all, they've never opened the Rippaverse up. They don't know who Eric July is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Calling him a right wing nut job, a white supremacist. Yes, that all the characters in his comic are going to be white males, and all the other ones will be tokenized. It's like, did you? You didn't do 30 seconds of research before you wrote your hit piece on this guy.
Somebody told them, and that was it. Somebody told them. It was the same as Larry Elder, the black face of white supremacy. And you're sitting there thinking, are these people nuts? They have got zero concept of who the people are they're talking about. They just hear somebody talking about it, and that's all they care about. And you're sitting there thinking, absolute crazy. Yeah, you've got people who are out. It doesn't matter who they are. If they're trying to give you something and if it's good, does it matter who wrote it?
No, and I was talking to Mrs. of the Empire about this morning. I'm like, who is listening to these people? And she's like, it's the other ones who are like them, the midwits who are the same people who don't pay attention to the news right now and what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Are the same people who they'll hear that and they will be immediately dismissive of the product that Eric July is trying to put out, and not do literally the 30 seconds of look that they could do.
They'll hear about it. They'll hear who did it, who did this, who did that, and then they'll just make assumptions based on the people who are telling them, and they'll not look. And that's why you get the nutcases that'll say, "Oh, he's a white supremacist." Have you actually ever seen Eric July?
He's not right wing. He's a libertarian who.
And the only supremacist he is his comic book is superior to a lot of the crap out there, and that's it. I've not read the book. None of us have got a copy of it.
No, none of us have seen it, but
we've heard about. That's exactly what a trailer should tell you. The book is grabbing you in. The trailer,
yes,
synopsis of it, and should grab you in.
No, it's done everything you want it to do. And his like I said, he's got his 3 tenets. We talked just respect the customer. That's obviously the number one. And number 2 is another thing that the comic book companies currently don't care about: canon and continuity.
See that one there, that gets me every time, because a company that puts out a TV show, not a movie, a TV show, are basically saying, watch us every week to see what happens. And then they say, canon doesn't matter. So then why should I watch the next episode? Because anything that's happened in this episode could change, because you just said canon does and continuity doesn't matter. So that person could get killed, and the next morning they could be sitting there having a cup of tea, because you just says it doesn't matter, so you can bring them back. So continuity and canon, what you do in this episode, next episode could change. So to me, that's the biggest thing. If you're saying canon doesn't matter, then whatever you put on the screen can change for next week.
And he talks about specifically not wanting to do multiverse or resets or to minimize all that, because with that stuff, it doesn't matter. Hey, Flaccid, welcome to the chat. A comprehensive, and this is his third tenet. I'm sorry, again, my setup is completely backward. A comprehensive timeline.
Yeah.
And they're going to establish a comprehensive timeline. They're going to have an official chronological timeline, so you know where these stories took place. That's a big deal. Looking at the DC universe right now, it is a giant hot mess.
Yes. There's one there. One of my favourites. You can see I'm wearing my Peaks trees. My avatar obviously is the Judge Dredd. I love my Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd has got a comprehensive timeline. Occasionally they do a skip here and there, but in effect it's a comprehensive timeline. They do have the alternate realities, and that's where Judge Death and all that comes in, and other things happen. But Judge Dredd has been aging since the first prog. So 40 years on, Judge Dredd is 40 years older. You know what I mean? So they've been aging him up because they've made it a comprehensive timeline.
See, that's amazing.
Along the way he gets older, a scar appears in his face. If it doesn't get healed, if it doesn't get regen, it happens from this prog on. He's got a scar, and it's good because you can actually, when you're reading it and he's talking about something, you know, up until that point, he's not going to mention something that's happened after, and he's not going to mention something that they're going to do a retcon later on and go back and try and give you a story. They're effectively just, that is something that's happened. He's told you about it. That's it. It's not going to be suddenly the next prog's actually going back in time just so you can see it happening and all this. It's the timeline just continues on, and I love that, and I still love it for Judge Dredd. It continues on. And that's
Well, it's like the new the DC universe in particular is just is a nightmare because the New 52 and then Rebirth, and because I'm not dialed in anymore, I actually have no idea what's going on except for the horrible things that pop up. The gay Superman story, the upcoming gay Robin story, Starfire's daughter, which is literally one of the worst things they've ever done. The tokenization of characters, Black Thor. You have the female version of Wolverine. It's X-23, but she comes out now, and the cover of it is "I'm Wolverine."
That's another thing as well. X-23. I know who X-23 is, but when you say Wolverine, it ain't X-23. It's the same as, let's say, Lady Deathstroke. You know who that character is. So if they suddenly say Lady Deathstroke and this is Lady Deathstroke, you look at it and go, that's not a character. That's a completely different character. That is a small 5-foot man. So how can it be Lady Deathstroke? Because we said it is. No.
And you'll like it, damn it.
Exactly. It's a specific character. X-23 is a specific character. Wolverine's a specific character. And yeah, from the comics to the movies, they changed the Wolverine character. Instead of being this 5-foot Wolverine character, small, bulky, they made him Hugh Jackman. But Hugh Jackman actually dragged that in and went, this is me. And it worked. So you can slightly change characters as long as your character... Give you an example. I dislike the new Battlestar Galactica. It's not my favourite. Not at all. But Starbuck worked on it. So they did, because they may have changed it to a female Starbuck, but she wasn't just... She was Starbuck, just so happened she was female, but she still had the personality of a fighter pilot, and you know where she got there. So they changed it, but it didn't actually change the character, and suddenly, well, I don't know what I'm doing, and this and that, and you're, and suddenly he's, or else I'm better than everybody else. But, so, oh, what was her name? I can't even remember who played it. The name was on the tip of my tongue, and then it went. But
for Starbuck? Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah. She took that role and says, right, okay, you want me to change it, but I'm not going to change the character of Starbuck. She played the character of Starbuck as female, and it worked. So you can do it if you think about it, especially things like certain things. So it can work here and there. But when they change it just because, and that is the... If somebody, if I was creating that, somebody gave me a script and says, we have to have this guy, this is the character we are creating, and this, it's a generic superhero. Somebody that's in a mask and all that, you don't know who is in the mask. Like, okay, Rorschach, right? So if you never saw Rorschach outside the mask, anybody could have played it. Anybody could have played it, because it's the mask. As long as they can play that character in the mask and you never see their face, does it matter? No, because it's the character. However, if they are playing the owl, you see the owl, so you know what the owl looks like. Even if he did take his mask off, you see from there down, so you know the type of character. So if they suddenly changes, people go, don't like that. And that's the difference. If you're changing something, it's fundamental, just because there's certain characters you can change, because some of them are mantles. So like the Black Panther, it's not always been T'Challa. It was
right, and that's established from the get-go.
Yeah,
it's not something they just make up to make it work. That's what was established.
So if they had established that T'Challa's daughter was going to be the next ruler, she would be the Black Panther, because they've established it's handed down to the ruler. So if it happened that there wasn't a king and it was going to be the queen, then that's a way of handing it down, because it's established in the canon. But they can't just turn around and say, well, you can't have him, you can't have him. It has to be her. Well, she's not. She's not in line to beat the throne. So why is it her? Because we said so. End of story. Wrong answer. So there is ways of doing things within the storyline. People won't have issues with because it's set out and within the. How many years has Black Panther? He was it 60? Was it the mid 60s, 70s that Black Panther came out?
That
I remember it's
sounds
been a while.
that sounds right.
It's
I
been
think it was
established-
late 60s.
late 60s. So it's been established from then how the Black Panther mantle gets passed down. So yes, there might have been a case of it's the same as a lot. They always assumed it's going to be a king. However, yes, time slightly move on, so there could be a queen, even within the mantle of that. And then, but they're still within the mantle. That means the ruler is the Black Panther.
No, 1966, Peter. 1966.
66. Aye. So not bad. I actually remember
That even predates me. So
it does not predate me. I was a year old.
So, Flaccid Phoenix asked an interesting question. What type of superheroes do we want to see in the Rippaverse? And I know we've seen really just kind of a teaser of what these characters are. And it's hard for me to really speculate. What I want is something entirely new. I don't want a Superman-like character. I don't want a Batman-like character. I want something I've not seen before.
I want, if I was going for a Batman character, as in someone who's got the means, the training, but no superpowers, then somebody like is it the Mimic? He's basically the great detective. The question.
Yeah, that's Stephen. Steve asked. Stephen. Was it Stephen? No, it's Flaccid again. I'm sorry. A character like the question. I'm a big fan of the question myself. My son loves the question. That was one of his favorite characters on when they had the animated series.
And the thing is with the question, because same again, he's wearing a mask all the time, and you can have fun with that, because if he's got a mask and nobody knows his face, he can be anybody. So it could always be one of the people in a crowd that you don't know. It's slight changes here and there, and they don't know, and then it's only you know he's in that crowd somewhere, and on the screen. And what one was the question? Is it that guy there with the tash, or is it the guy with the beard? Is it the guy with the glasses? Or are all those three the same ones? It's just different shots from different crowds. Look at the fun you could have actually just trying to even figure out who the question is, based on the fact is the question is a good character. And I do like the question. So a question-like character. Someone who uses his brains, not necessarily his brawn, but he could use his brawn as well. So somebody it's not a superhero, but has got a superhero inside themselves who wants to help, wants to do whatever they can to help. So there you go. It was just pure fluke. I didn't see Flaccid Phoenix actually.
That was great. And so I saw him. We know he has powers. We don't know exactly what his powers are, and we have seen pictures of other characters that look like they have some kind of glowy, shooty out ray stuff. There's a female character, but again, we don't know what they are. That's kind of exciting going into this. And Stephen Ransom, I think it's a mistake to make comparable characters. And
the thing is, as soon as you do, what's the first thing people are saying?
Oh, that's
Compared to Batman, the Owl is not as good because. Compared to Superman, Shazam is not as good because. And that's going to happen right across the board. You like Shazam or you like Superman, you're going to compare the two of them. That's because they're comparable. That's unfortunately, no matter what character you make, somebody's going to go, oh, that's dead like, and compare to that. If they had a character that was the Fly, let's just make the Fly, because I remember there was a cartoon a while back. It was called The Fly, but guess what he did? He walked on the walls. And obviously Stan Lee had a joke. It was a case of he wanted to make the fly. And Nick Azumda said, well, he could do that, but he liked the idea of the walking on the walls, so he made him the spider. So if they made a fly character and he walked on the walls and stuff like that, the first thing people are going to say, Spider-Man. They're going to compare it no matter what. That's just the nature of us geeks.
It's true. Well, I mean, unless they do it very specifically, like The Boys.
Yes.
The Boys uses these archetype characters
Yes.
who are very intentionally designed to be Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
Aquaman. You can point at every one of them and you know who they are. Even now with Soldier Boy, Captain America. But that's an intentional because it's poking fun at the genre while doing things that you actually can't do in comic books.
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but then you end up in like Max Comics or the adult versions of these books.
Yeah.
Are all the ideas used up? I mean, or is there? I'm really curious to see what these characters do and how they do differ from all the. I keep hitting my mic because it's new.
That's why
And I talk with my hands like a lunatic.
That's why I this side because of my hand like that, I talk with that hand.
It's the Italian in me. I can't stop it. I can't not talk with my hands. So how and Rosie's like, so tech, is their powers coming from tech, aliens, mutants? Where does the power come from?
See, that's the thing is, right, you look back the early ones, nuclear power, who gets the power from that? Gamma radiation, who get the power from that? A bite from an insect, it was radioactive, who get the power from that? An alien coming from a different solar system, who gets the power? You can always say this person is that person is that, if you were going down that, but the thing is, there is no, as you said, there's archetypal characters. We're going to put them into the same grouping anyway. So yes, you might have a character who can fly and has got superpowers, super strength and stuff like that. People are going to say Superman. However, it's how the character acts makes the difference. So you can have a character, you can't have no matter, but Shazam is very like Superman because Superman is the all-American boy. He grew up as the boy in America, and it's just the all wholesome. He is the Boy Scout. Then they brought Shazam in, who's a young kid, so he's still got that naivety, so he sees the good in everything. Very like Superman, but they're different enough in their outlook. Superman's an adult, he's lived it all, but he's still good, whereas Shazam is a kid with those powers that people just assume he's an adult, but he still sees the good in people. So you can have another Superman type character, but it's how they present it. So he could be good, but from a different culture. So a Scottish Superman's not going to be the same as a American Superman because brought up different ways, slightly different values. Still going to be, you can still have the Boy Scout in him, but there's going to be differences because of where they brought up, and it's things like that. The Ripperverse is going to be different. So if he's got a Superman, he's going to be brought up in with a slightly different outlook.
It's the nuance. I think that's you're 100% right. The nuance is what is going to define these characters. There are, I don't say there's a limited number of superpowers. I mean, you could, if you're creative enough, you could come up with all kinds of crazy stuff. Super strength is always going to be one of those things.
Well, look at super strength. One super strength, right? You've got super strength, right? So you've got a Superman as the top end of the super strength. Then you've got the Tick at the other end of the super strength. Look at the difference between the two. There's no way, exactly, but there's no way in earth people can say, oh, the Tick's just like Superman. No! He's got super strength and he's invulnerable. But look at the Tick, especially the Patrick Warburton's Tick. That was superb.
We were talking about Shazam, Captain Marvel just a second ago. Did you read
sorry,
Kingdom?
I didn't realise we had gone on to crap.
Did you read Kingdom Come?
Oh, no.
It was a future set. The heroes had all retired. And then the new breed of superheroes came in, and they were kind of making a hot mess of things. And Billy Batson is all grown up now. And so he and Superman, through a series of events, come head to head. And it's a really spectacular battle.
Yeah. I've heard about it, so I have. Because I recognise that as basically a case of, it's almost a case of they have to step in, but they don't want to step in the toes of the new heroes because they don't want them to feel as if they're failed. And it's the nuance of the old heroes coming back without actually making it the new heroes feel as if these are useless. We have to come back. Out of the way, we'll do it. But you're on a Zimmer frame. Get out of the way, we'll show you kids how to do it. That type of thing. So I've heard about
Rosie, Kingdom Come is an older book. It's, gosh, it may even be 20 years old now.
Oh, I think it's at least that. It definitely is, because I heard about it a good while ago. That's why I didn't recognise the name. It was only the description of it I recognised the description.
Alex Ross did the art for it. Let me look at the date real fast. And Alex Ross is one of my favorite comic. It's 1996. Holy cats! I didn't realize it was that long ago.
27 years, 28 years.
So it's been a minute. But see, granted, it's different from regular timeline stuff, but the way they did the book worked. They didn't.
Yeah.
That was before the comic book writers decided that they hated the fans.
Yeah.
So
they wanted that. They wanted to see what would happen. That's a what if, a good what if. What would happen if
yes,
50 years down the line, these superheroes are started to age and there's new ones coming through? What would it happen? And it is that type of thing, because everybody. It's like my dad used to say. Because anytime I would say something, he would say, "We did that." My dad hated it as well. I'm saying, "What are you saying?" He's saying, "I hate what you're doing now." You were doing the same as what they did, that their parents hated, and he's effectively telling me, "We hate what you're doing because you're taking what we liked and changing it." So the next generation is going to change our stuff. However, I grew up watching the stuff my dad watched. That's why I get into Laura and Harvey, Abbott and Costello. That's why I get into a lot of the old classic monster movies. But I didn't actually suddenly turn around, and my dad would watch the stuff I was on. So he watched, well, Time Team was the big thing that we both watched, but things like Red Dwarf, he would sit and watch that. He wouldn't turn around and say, "Oh, this new stuff is not as good as so-and-so, and I prefer that, and I'm watching this news rubbish." It was a case of, it's different. I like it, but I prefer that. And that's okay, because we all prefer the stuff that we grew up with. So there's going to be a few things we like. There's going to be a lot we dislike, but we're not going to say we hate it just because it's different. But when you give us crap, we're going to hate it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is if you can define, you can't just say, "I don't like that." Okay, that's fine. Why don't you like that? And the why of things is important. It's as important as why you like something.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The Boys. I don't like The Boys. And do you know why I don't like The Boys?
Because you're a white supremacist.
I love Carl, anything he's in. Do you know why I don't like The Boys? I like my superheroes to be light. I don't like to see superheroes dark. And that's the difference. Because I like my superheroes. My daughter used to laugh because she used to buy a book. It was called The Dark Light, and it was all quite dark stories, gothic stories. And I was talking to the artist at the Comic-Con, and there was about every year we went to the Comic-Con, my daughter would buy one of these books, and I was telling him, I says, "They're just not for me because they're too dark." Next time I turned up, and he goes, "Look what I've got," and it was called the light, like, or the shining light rather than the dark light. And he says, "These are all light stories. I'll have one of those. Thank you very much." And it was because he says a lot of people says the only reason they didn't really buy it is because they're dark stories and they like light stories. And to me, that's the thing, because my daughter used to love dark stories, whereas I didn't really like them. So our fandoms crossed a lot, but there were certain things that each of us didn't like about it. And to me, that's exactly what it is. Nobody's going to have the exact same fandom as I've got. And if they have, why are they not attached to me? Because they are part of me. But nobody is, because no matter what you like, somebody's going to say, "But I don't like that one." It's not an issue. And you're going to say, "You watch that?" That's the thing. But the thing is, we've got a lot we can talk about, even stuff we dislike. We can talk about. It's not a dislike as in I hate that because. It's a case of I don't like it because of this and that, because it doesn't suit me. But you can understand why people love it. And I can understand why people love The Boys. But it's just no for me. So I don't turn around and somebody says, "I like The Boys." "Oh, well, you're bad. I don't like to talk to you." Weird.
Because I personally love the show. Well, with certain
Caveats.
yes, which is just kind of it is what it is.
It's the same. The Orville. If you've been watching the Orville,
I have not been watching the Orville, but I heard you guys talking about the last episode and how off-putting it was.
the last two episodes, the episode 5 got my teeth grinding. Episode 6, I just went, enough. And
that's too bad.
It was, and then I because it's I saw certain things, and the rabbi said, I saw a comment in one of the rabbis once saying this episode turned out quite good. Yeah, I watched something on today. It was Clobby talking about it, and they were effectively saying same idea. It might have been a good program, but the stuff they were shoving down your throat, it's the same idea again. The way it was filmed and the way it was shown, the story was a good story, but if you look at the messaging they were throwing at you, not very good. Episode 5, A Tale of Two Topas. The girl who played Topher was absolutely, as an actress, she was amazing throughout being Topa the male, Topa the female. She was really good. Her acting was amazing, faultless. The rest, there was most of the other ones, their acting was really, really good, but it had a feel-good ending, but I still hated it because of the messaging they threw in it. So I could understand why people really thought it was a really good episode, because it was, but it's the messaging sort of made you go, wish they wouldn't put that in it, because it was really good otherwise. And that's the thing, because you could look at Star Trek.
Which one?
Oh no, when I talk about Star Trek, I talk about the good stuff.
Okay. Proper Trek.
The proper Trek. The one. What was it called? It was something to Doomsday or something like that. It was the one half black, half white.
Oh, I know the episode you're talking about. I don't remember. Yeah.
They had a very specific message, but it didn't make you go, see that.
No, you didn't cringe.
You didn't cringe. They just basically says, that's weird, because they're fighting. They basically wiped each other out over something that, in effect, should be ignored. Just it's the way people are. Stop it.
Let that be your last battlefield is the name of the episode.
That's the one, yes. But that is a really, really good episode, and it's a case of it's good because they told you a good story, and at the end they turned around and says, "Why did they do it?" Well, they're worried about each other's race, and they killed each other based on it. And it effectively is turning around and saying, "See all these racists in nutcases." Yeah, of course they are. Because if you're looking at someone and saying, "I don't like you because you're black, or you've got glasses, or you've got big ears, or you've got no hair, or you've got a beard," each of them is as stupid as each other, because what does how someone looks matter? And I've always thought that, Mark. If I thought any different, my mother would have killed me. My father wouldn't have actually been far behind her, but my mother would have killed me. Just if you treat anybody, it doesn't matter what the characteristics is. I remember once there was a guy I used to know, and we used to slag each other because his used to stick out, right? And I wore my glasses, and he would call me Four Eyes, and I would call him Wig Nut Ears. And see, when I my mum heard me saying that, she nearly went through it. He turned around and says, "Mrs. Jack, we actually do that to each other all the time." And it's basically because she thought I was actually slagging him because of a characteristic. But the two of us used to slag each other. It's just one of those things. But if you do it to people you don't know, you're the bad one. But if you and your friend have got a thing, yes, you can get away with it. However, because I had a friend years back, we were all out for a meal, and the guy came up with a coffee. And the guy came up, there was about 10 of us, and my friend was sitting there, he's black. And the guy came up with a coffee and says, instead of saying, whose coffee's black, he says, who's black? And he went, and the guy just went, because he realised what he said, but we were all laughing. And so we say, it's just because the guy just came up, and it was a case of everybody was getting coffees, but only one person asked for a black coffee. And he came up and says, who's black? And we were all pissed ourselves. And the guy was sort of very apologetic. He just turned around and says, listen, it was a joke. We were making a joke at what you said because you obviously didn't realise what you were saying. It's not as if you were actually deliberately saying it because I was the one that's getting the coffee. And that's the difference. People can realise it. Star Trek did it with the one where they pick up all the people from times past.
That was such a good episode.
Yeah,
Lincoln and
Lincoln, when he comes around and says,
I don't remember the Vulcan's name.
I've sent you, she says.
Oh, yes.
Unimportant. And that's exactly what it should be. That is unimportant because we don't think about things like that. I think Michelle Nichols was just gorgeous then.
No, and then Lincoln makes the apology. My time had me apologizing for something that in your time doesn't matter, or something basically along the lines.
It's the same as when they put stuff on TV shows. This one could be quite... Fuck off, we know it's sensitive. You look at things in there, everybody's sitting there driving their car with the kids in the back, and you're not going to think, oh my god, they should change that because there's kids and they're smoking. It's just part of it, that one. That is just a fantastic episode. So it is. I love that episode. Mind you, I love all Star Trek, so I'm okay. The classic Star Trek.
No, I am such a fan of classic Trek.
Yep. I got
except for season 3, which really they lost the budget.
Yeah, aye, but at least apart from Spock's brain, most of them
Spock's brain.
Most of them are okay. Most of them are okay.
So we both go Spock's brain.
That was a bad episode.
Oh.
Just the fact is the story was bad. It wasn't a case of because they were trying to put a crappy message in the middle of it. It was just a bad story, and you can understand why they did it. It's just somebody thought this is a good thing. Why don't we do this? And it was bad. But you even look at that. Look at the.
I can't imagine anybody thought that was a good episode.
I know. I can't imagine it either. It was just. It was just. Oh my god, cringy. Somebody's taking his brain out of his head. We'll put this device on it, and he'll not notice, and he'll not die. Yeah, somebody's taken my brain out years ago, and I'm actually.
It was so peculiar.
Yeah.
Oh.
You realise what happened?
Hey, Max. Thank you for dropping by, buddy.
You know what happens nowadays when they take your brain out? You vote for the left. But there's
bad comic book material.
Very bad comic book material, and it's Ripperverse actually have a couple of. There's a superhero. He can take people's brains. Sylar. Heroes, remember? He used to actually.
Oh yeah.
By taking their brains.
I remember that was a good show. What happened here? I had Spock
save the cheerleader.
Lost Spock's brain. There's another bad joke. Do you remember the reboot though of Heroes? And it was not good.
Reboot.
Or they
You cut out. I didn't hear the reboot of
it was
what.
hot a little bit.
You're cutting out. Sorry.
Heroes.
Is it me or is it you? The chat, who's cutting out? I don't know if it's you because I can't hardly hear you. I don't know if it's my sound or your sound.
There we go. Maybe that will help. I shut off. I had like 10 things running.
I can hear you definitely. It's just it was going. And I was sitting there thinking, huh? You were doing a Max Boyce.
Story. Am I better now?
It's still cutting out here and there, but
I hope.
It's a lot more. It's a lot clearer now. See, I can never tell if it's mine.
Steve.
StreamYards. Sometimes StreamYards has that issue.
It's often me, and that's the way I always. It's me. Going on over here.
No, Rosie's saying
dear.
it's not better.
I have like weird windows open on the computer.
See, it could be StreamYards.
It's not better.
StreamYards have had that issue before in the
Well,
past.
darn it.
That's all clear. You're all cleared up.
Because everything was going all right, and then apparently everything's all right now.
It was getting pixelated, and so
Let me try to kill him this.
See, I know I have to kill everything when I'm streaming. It's basically I don't know what it is. Even if I'm watching on YouTube and I've paused them, I have to close all the windows, or else I get the and it's pixelated and I can't read. Because I always find it funny because I might actually hold that up, right, and just basically hold it in. I can read that, but see, there's times when I hold that up, I can't even. It's so pixelated, I can't read.
Oh wow!
On the camera, and that's what happens. And sometimes it's StreamYards that causes it, but sometimes it's my bad broadband. I can't get a faster one here or something.
I need to get a new computer, and that's the big thing. And I don't. That's going to be a minute.
Yeah, well, I saved up for 8 months for mine, so that just to get back to replace the one I had because I needed an i7, 32 gig of RAM, and a nice big hard drive. So I saved up, and it was $1,000 just for the base unit alone, no monitors, nothing with it. And then I had to buy the operating system as well. So I literally, I went it separate. I had to literally just bits and pieces. I wanted something that I could. I just wanted something big and fast that I didn't need to go. Oh well, 6 months down the line, I need to replace it. So.
Yeah, I just need something that can keep up with not only me talking and having a guest on, but also be able to display things on the screen without the computer freaking out, which apparently that's where everything started going wrong.
And you want it so you can display all that behind you.
There's that as well. It's and I think I've mentioned before. I work. This is my garage. I'm working out of my garage because I don't have an office. So we move the car out and I set everything up like a lunatic, and then here we are.
Well, this is my man cave. So when we bought this house, my wife says, "Well, we need 2 rooms because I want a guest room." But I says, she goes, "Okay, because you're not putting your stuff in my house, so we got a 3rd room." There's nothing allowed outside this room. Because in the last house, I had some in the living room, some in the bedroom, some in the kitchen, I had it all over the house. And she says, "Nope, your rubbish stays in your room." So I've got my man cave, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm never going to have that. I'm always going to be regulated, stuck out here until my son Jake of the Empire decides he's finally going to move on. Then we're going to demolish a wall and make one big room for both my wife and I, so she can have her library and I can have my nerd stuff.
through that wall is our spare room, which is also my wife's office. So I keep at her. Can we not just actually see this roof? Can we not put a house, a room above it, and then I can expand my man cave through to that room? She's nope.
Seems perfectly legit to me.
I thought it was quite a reasonable request. I was asking. I wasn't actually saying we're doing this. I was saying because we've got a flat roof, can we not just actually put a room above, put a sloped roof on it, and then I can have a bigger room? She said. She put up with me, so I'm okay with that.
Well, that's all you can ask for. This, yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
This will be 33 years she's put up with me, and
No,
so,
I'm only 6 years this year. So
oh, that's
put up with me very short term. That's
so. Flaccid asked, "Am I going to San Diego Comic-Con?" And the answer is a resounding no.
no,
I do have tickets,
but there's too many restrictions. Yeah.
but San Diego, unlike Texas, put all the stupid back in place. You either have to show proof of shot or negative test. Any way you cut it, you got to be masked up, and I am literally not doing it. I'm not playing that stupidity. Los Angeles is looking at going back to masking again as a city, and it's like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? So it is what it is, as they say. And I'm disappointed. I bought my tickets 2 years ago, and they got rolled over for 2 years. But San Diego Comic-Con, like the comic book industry itself, doesn't care about its fans.
Yeah. They think they're that big, they just don't care. The Glasgow Comic Cons here, there's two. There was one quite recently, it was April. I missed the first day because I didn't even know it'd come back. So I missed the first day and only got the second day. The next one is the big one, is in September, and I'm planning to go to that. No restrictions. No
See?
restrictions. Oh,
Most places are not doing certainly not what Comic-Con is doing.
Yeah.
And I can't even get my head around it. It's bad enough they want proof of, but they're also going to make you mask on top of that. It's like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. My level of sanity has been tested enough, and that puts it over the edge. But for anybody who ended up watching this later, I will be at the meetup here in San Diego with Gary on Thursday night. So I do plan on going to that.
So jealous because one of the guys that's on the stream with the father, have you met Ian, the Mega Geek?
Yes. Yeah, I met him last week.
Yeah, he was at the meetup. He flew over, and I thought, yeah, lucky so and so.
Yeah,
I'd love to go, but
I couldn't make Texas. I do plan on going to Vegas, though. Hopefully everybody doesn't get all crazy and lose their minds again, because that's why I didn't go last time, was because although the place they were at seemed to be very reasonable and sane, but I didn't know that, it's a long drive to end up in a city where I got to wear a mask. So I had to buy an oven. That was actually the thing that pushed it over the edge. Our oven died. I'm like, well, I can get an oven, or I can stay in a hotel in Vegas. And Mrs. of the Empire was like, yeah. So anyway, I think we can probably start wrapping up here. We've been on for about an hour, and everybody's getting ready for Gary's show anyway. But
yeah.
I did want to. I'm glad we were able to get on here. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I've been wanting to be able to work with you. Our time zones are our biggest restriction.
You said it was 12, so it'll be 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
It's 9 o'clock at night.
Right. So yeah, when I phrased my email, I didn't mean midnight.
Yeah, because the last time you were doing yours, it was 7 o'clock, and it was 1 in the morning over here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I know.
I thought when you said 12, you were giving me in my time, and I'm sitting there thinking, midnight? Really?
No, no, I would never do that to you. I promise.
And I find you don't know me because I usually am sitting watching Gary up until about 12, 1 o'clock in the morning anyway.
Oh.
So, and then roughly about that time, roughly when Az comes off, I go, right, it's time for my bed as well.
It's probably a safe gauge.
Yes. So it's the same idea because he's obviously in the same time zone, and it can be a thing, mate. But because we were working from home for the last year and a half up until about 6 months ago, I would be sitting up until 2, 3 in the morning because all I was doing is going to my bed, waking up, coming straight back in here and working from home.
Oh,
And effectively, I didn't even need to get out of my pajamas if I got up late. So I was fine. You know what I mean? Could work away, turn the camera off, and then just sit there in my PJs. Here we go. But now, once we're back to work, it's a case of I'm up early, so I can't even actually wait until I wake up at 9:15 just to stop downstairs and switch my computer on. I have to be up at like 6:30 to get to work.
right.
You know what it's like if you're working from home. You can start out of your bed at 8:30, sit down, and then you can go and get a coffee. You can go and get your breakfast and all that because you're in the house.
Hey, Shield Wall, thank you for joining us. We're actually in the closing round, but I appreciate you showing up. It was funny though when we were working from home, my job had suddenly gotten a lot more complicated, and I ended up having to get up at 4:30 in the morning anyway, and it's just I didn't have to get dressed. I could just shamble over to the computer and set up. But I wasn't digging that, which is why I'm not doing that anymore. So, but if you, I am largely available. So I know you generally do an 8 o'clock show. So please hit me up if you need a body.
Yeah, you're always welcome to join us because Let's Talk UK on a Saturday, we just come in and we just sit and talk about what's been happening in the week. So there's no set stuff on it. So I'm always on. Just drop me a line if you're available, and I'll send you a link.
Right on, right on.
A Wednesday, it's usually a case of a particular movie,
right?
Like Shawshank Redemption in Wednesday,
which is a great movie, even though Tim Robbins is a bit of a tool in real life.
Yeah. Well, you look at see, I hate that. You got to say something.
I'm sorry.
Goes, Hellboy. You look at Hellboy.
Oh, Ron Perlman is a dummy.
Yeah, I mean, but the Hellboy movie, the first one especially, is absolutely fantastic. Ice Pirate, Ron Perlman's in that, and he's good in it as well.
I tried watching the reboot with David Harbour of Hellboy. It was not good.
Not good, I know. Because they say, we're going to do this, and then they actually change it. You're sitting there thinking, what was the point?
No, zero. There was 0 point. Even Ian McShane, who I love in pretty much everything, could not save that movie.
Yeah, I know. It's the same idea. There's certain ones in the past that they've remade, and it's worked. Like Wednesday there, we did Little Shop of Horrors 1960. Yeah. The one with, they say Jack Nicholson, but Jack Nicholson's only playing the one part.
Bit part.
Of World War Force. Whereas they did the remake. The reason they did the remake is because Little Shop of Horrors is overacted, bad acting, corny dialogue, but it's so much fun to watch.
It is. It's a great movie.
It's a great movie. So what they did was they took the whole story, 1 or 2 bits they go, we don't need that. 1 or 2 bits, we don't need that, but we want to enhance that bit, and then they made the one with Rick Moranis, which was fantastic. So, and they did the same with Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yep. And The Thing.
1954. I had The Thing. The great movie of 1954. What they did was they remade it, but they moved it to a different city and a slightly different character names. Mm-hmm. So you can actually say, well, is it a remake or is it a part 2? Because that was in a small city. Maybe one of the trucks got through and it's taken that long to establish. So they basically allows you to actually say, well, it's a remake. But is it a follow-on in The Thing as well? Because I remember The Thing. That was one of the first horror movies I was sitting there going,
oh, yeah.
The guys are all standing around the spaceship. I remember that one. And then the thing with Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell.
Yep, Kurt Russell.
Aye. Which is amazing. I've got that up there somewhere. So I have.
Oh, and Shield Wall, you're 100% right. The 2011, we don't talk about that. That one does not exist.
Yeah, it's like we're not going to talk about the new remake that they're doing. It's in development just now of Little Shop of Horrors.
I know.
Why? You've got a perfect movie. Stop remaking it to make it crap. If you've
Yes.
got a crap movie, remake it to make it a bit good. Or if you've got a movie that's got a good story but it's a bit corny, remake it to improve it. I don't have issues with remakes if it's done for the right
But
reason.
when you have a near perfect film like Body Snatchers, like The Thing, leave it alone.
You
Leave it alone.
Because you look at the two of them, like the Body Snatchers. That the way that finish was great, and then it started, but they changed the character name slightly, which allowed them to actually say, well, is it a continuation, or is it just a remake? But it's a perfect movie, and there's very few that I could say the first one, the remake is as good, if not better than the original. And
They do not need to remake The Princess Bride. No, please.
No.
Please don't.
I only saw the Princess Bride this year. I'd heard about it and I'd seen clips on YouTube about
Oh,
it.
wow.
But when Dology says we'll do a review of that one, and I watched it, and I was expecting a girly movie, and then I'm sitting there like that.
Oh, it was delightful. It was
I
Peter
watched
Falk
it.
as the grandfather was so good.
I watched it 3 times in the one day. I enjoyed it. God, oh, Peter Falk in it. Oh, what? And I loved it. I just thought it was. This is because it's called The Princess Bride. The head was going.
It puts a certain thing in your head. Exactly.
And I
Just like the little boy.
Yeah, but it's and the first when I watched it 3 times, I watched it the same day, and I said to Indology, "Thank you, that was great." I loved it. It was just so. That's a movie. It's so well done, and the thought
And-
that they're going to make it, and you know what's going to happen. They're going to kill it.
Almost certainly, because it was so good and it's modern. It's not something like a 1951 or 1954 film that you're moving forward or able to do better now. I would say, and you may hate me for this, I really liked the Steven Spielberg version of War of the Worlds. I'm not saying it's better. I'm saying I did enjoy it a great deal, though.
It was different enough that, and it didn't suck. I didn't like it because it had Tom Cruise in it, but that's only because I don't like Tom Cruise. However,
I've had to get over my hatred of Tom Cruise because he's actually been in a lot of good things.
yeah, he has, and I love the one with Dustin Hoffman, the Risky Business, and he's good, and he is good and stuff. But I don't know, it's just something every time I see him, I just go, and it ruins the movie, and it's nothing to do with the acting, nothing to do with the story. It's just him.
Just a visceral hatred of Tom Cruise.
It's just something about him. I just go, no matter what he's in, his early stuff, but I don't know what it is. His early stuff, no problem. It's his later stuff, and I think he must have had an interview or something. It really annoyed me, and every time I see him since that, it's just a grind my teeth, and I don't know what it is. And
I can't argue it. I understand. I do.
There's so many good movies he does, but I just sit there going,
Tom Cruise.
and that is, but we've all got a character that no matter what, how good a movie they're in, you just go, not watching him, not watching her. That's it. He's just unfortunately one for me.
Tom Cruise's best performance was Les Grossman in Tropic Thunder.
Something was actually, yeah, I know we're not meant to talk about it because somebody actually doing blackface.
Oh, that movie is so funny.
Exactly, it was done deliberately as
Yes, exactly.
a parody of making a movie to show how ridiculous movie makers are.
Now, they couldn't make that movie today, though. There's no way they would make that movie. And that movie wasn't even that old, but they would never make it today.
Blazing Saddles could never make that today.
No.
Movies, you think about it, and the thing is, they were parodying the
Yes.
type. Like, Blazing Saddles was parodying.
The problem, Zax, what are you doing here?
Oh,
Thanks for dropping by, buddy. The problem is, and this is my opinion only, the left is not very good at parody. They don't understand it. It confuses them. They think you're actually making fun of a certain, a race or whatever. And you're making fun of, damn this mic, of the situation and the absurdity of it all.
Blazing Saddles is a fast version of Let This Be Your Last Battlefield. Let It Be Your Last Battlefield is effectively saying it shouldn't matter. They're saying is, see all these people that make it matter? They're thick as mince. And that's exactly what you wanted to do. You want to say, see these people who think that is going to be a reason to dislike someone. They're thick. Yeah, they are. So, and that's the thing. So, Blazing Saddles was a very extreme version of the Star Trek The Last Battlefield. Because one says it's unimportant, you shouldn't actually think about that, and the other one saying is, see if you do, this is the type of person you are. It's the same as things like in the UK, Love Thy Neighbour. It was a 70s sitcom. Two families, white family and a black family. Eddie was the white guy who was a union member, didn't like the upper class, didn't like the management, and then
I can't help you with this one.
I think it was he was the colour guy, but he was a manager, right? And he moved in, and they would use some fairly tame, but they were derogatory language of the time, right? But he didn't dislike him because he was black. He disliked him because he was management and because he was upper class. But he never came off better than them. So Eddie always was the butt. So no matter what he would do to try and get one over, and Sid, he would basically fail because Sid was the smarter of the two. He knew what he was doing. But it was done in such a way, but everybody says it was a racist program because he disliked him and called them all these derogatory names. He called them the names, but the two of them were friends, even though they would go for a drink, but they would always slag each other. Use upper class this and use management types that. But it was because he was black and he didn't like him, and it was nothing to do with the fact he was black. He would use derogatory terms because it's the same as letting you call someone specky. If you want to be derogatory about them and they wear glasses, you would call them specky or baldy. It's not necessarily you're having a go at them because they're wearing glasses. It's just, what can I call you? And that's the thing that pops out. So because I'm sure it's Sid, Eddie, and I can't remember, but I'll say Sid anyway. They're saying because he was black and he was always having a go at him, it was because he was racist. It was a racist program, and you're sitting there thinking, no, it was because he was upper class and management. He didn't like him. He would use some derogatory terms because he was black, but it wasn't because he was black he disliked him. He just used.
But they don't get that. And Shieldwall's point here is really good. They don't understand parody because everything they do is basically parody already, but they make it reality.
Mm-hmm.
And 100% on point there.
You had one over there as well. We had the version of it. Was Alf Garnett. You had, what was the guy? It was All in the Family.
Oh, yeah.
Right, we had it over here, but Alf Garnett was the main character. And what are Beatty? Warren Mitchell. Is it Warren Mitchell? See when it goes.
There was Carol on that, which I know.
Yeah. But I mean, the characters were the similar idea. Over here, he was a very bigoted person, but he also hated the upper class, hated anybody who came in who wasn't the same as him, and he treated everybody the same way. Didn't like any of them. So if you were black, you were Pakistani, you were Tory, you had money, you were a woman. He treated everybody the same. But the guy, the actor says he was meant to do that because you're not meant to like him. You're meant to say he is an absolute bad person and I don't like him. But I'll laugh at him because the things he says is funny. But you're not laughing with him. You're laughing at him.
At him. And
that's-
Zach's,
that-
this is what we were talking about. Calling Eric July a white supremacist should be a parody. It should be, but they mean it. These crazy nutbags on the left who have never seen Eric July, heard Eric July, know
Yep.
anything about Eric July other than he is a name. He's created a comic book that isn't of the mainstream. And they are crapping all over him and calling him all this. They aren't just calling him a white supremacist. They're calling him things that are far worse. And these are the people who are supposed to, stand up for this stuff.
These are the guys who are turning around and says we're very diverse, but as a white man, I'm going to call that black man an N-word, and it's
Yes.
because I'm on the side of. So you're effectively saying because I'm on the side of black men, black women, I can call them the N-word without because. And you're sitting there thinking, and you think these are good. You are actually spouting this stuff and saying it's because I'm doing good. Really? So you're basically saying the Nazis were sitting there going, I'm fine, I'm a good guy. Click, click. And you're sitting there thinking, really? It's like the Mitchell and Webb did one. Have you ever watched Mitchell and Webb?
No, I haven't.
Well, they're on YouTube. Mitchell and Webb, Nazis. Are we the bad guys?
Oh, no, I have seen that. I have seen that. Okay, yes. Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies? Yes.
No, don't be silly. But we've got skulls in our caps, and then you see them drinking out of skulls and they're knitting skulls.
It's like they have no idea. They have no idea who they are. They've kicked them off Patreon and PayPal as well. For what? For what? What has the man done? Because they don't like him.
They don't like him. That's why it's great that he, as Gary says, he set it up on his own website because I think he knew they would come down that crappy route.
No, I think because he's smart. He's a smart dude, and they knew, and he gave him the finger, and he is succeeding.
Yeah, because basically, and as Gary says, because he's got it set up now, if somebody wants to use his website, speak to him and actually maybe.
Rosie, you are not a troll.
Only if your hair is pink and it stands out about 3 feet above your head. That's the only trolls we'll accept. Sit in your car.
Oh, goodness.
The people out there are nuts. And I can see, it's the same as if somebody says that, I used to go and play Magic with a load of my friends. I'm going on Tuesday to see them all, so it's the first time in a year and a half. And I got called a homophobe. So as we were playing Magic, I said to my two friends, I says, you shouldn't be playing with me. He says, why? I says, because I'm a homophobe. He says, who told you that? And I told him. And he says, really? I says, I know, do you really want to invite me to your wedding then? I just find it funny because people can call me any names they want. I don't care because I know what I am. And my friends know what I am. So, I mean, so I didn't hide the fact that, oh my God, you might not like me anymore because somebody says I'm a homophobe. I told them exactly why I got called a homophobe and they were pissing themselves laughing. So they're coming down this weekend and we're going for a game of Magic, and then we're going up, me and my wife's going up to visit them in August. So we're looking forward to that. And then the
cool.
So, but the fact is, and somebody calls me a name, I just laugh because I don't care what people call me because I know I'm no. And if I was my mother, I wouldn't have lasted there long. My mother would have killed me just by even thinking it. It's just because people are people, and that's it. End of story. That's
True.
People are people.
I think the Rings of Power is going to be a better thing than anything Tolkien ever wrote. Rosie, that's going to get you blocked. That's going to get you blocked. I know you're joking. Now
we'll start putting you in the troll category now. Next we'll be saying the Wheel of Time was good.
Oh no.
I get to do all my books because every time I was listening to them on Audible or reading them, I just saw that it was on Amazon, and I just could not have my books there. I've kept the first 5 because they're all first editions. The rest of them went
Right.
to charity. It's just sickened me. And I wish I'd never watched it because the first minute.
Oh,
of
no, it's
that-
tainted it for you.
Oh, it has. It's tainted it.
Yep.
So I wish I'd never watched it because see the first minute I should have known because the first minute into it
Oh.
and I shouted and sweared at the screen the first minute into the program and I'm sitting there thinking I said I was going to review this for my channel and I
couldn't do it. I watched 3 episodes and I had to stop because they had 3 of them that were available. So I watched them all and I was like, oh no.
Until the first minute of the first episode, I paused it and I was shouting and swearing at the screen because they changed so much in the first minute. They basically, this bit of spiel had actually ruined the whole thing for me, and I had to watch it. And I was sitting there going, "Watch the one I opened." I'm going, "Is it that bad?" Yes, it is.
Yes, it's that bad. And Zach, you have a great point here. What they've done would have stopped most people from getting started. And you are 100% right. He's an amazing dude. They can't kill him. They can take him off Twitter right now, but it doesn't matter. He's already created the Rippaverse. It exists. And they can't take that away.
He was only expecting 100,000, 10,000 subscribers, and is it 1,000,079? So he is 179,000%
Above what he thought he was going to be.
what he was expecting. Really,
That's
he was
gold.
$100,000, and he's at $1.8 million. So in effect, to them, that's
Yes.
And
that's because he has his 3 tenets. And his 3 tenets are the thing that everybody has been looking for from the entertainment industry, not just comic books, but the entertainment industry in general, for years.
Yep.
I mean, we all, the crumble that started, let's say the mid 20 teens is when it really started kicking in high gear. There were bits and pieces before, but then they just went full bore in 2016 and beyond with Ghostbusters, and then taking the axe to Doctor Who, and then all the Star Wars prequels, which were just.
And believe me, when it comes to Doctor Who, right? My wallpaper.
Oh, I know.
Wallpaper. My man cave that wallpaper's actually been on my wish list for 8 years. And when I got this man cave, I got it Type 40 TARDIS. A lot of my Doctor Who stuff are all around, and once they started doing that, I thought, I'm just out. So I've only got classic stuff. I've got 1 or 2 new stuff that was given as a gift because I never get rid of gifts. I always keep gifts, even if it's not something I watch or like. I'll keep a gift because it's I like. If somebody gives me a gift, it's a special person's giving me a gift, so I'm okay. But most of my stuff now is all classic Doctor Who. I don't have much new Who stuff because I started watching it and then it got tainted, and so classic Doctor Who has got a step off point, and I don't care what they've said about Paul McGann and changing into this because I can stop it at the Paul McGann movie. The only reason it didn't stop before the Paul McGann movie is because Sylvester McCoy was in the Paul McGann movie, so there's a link.
Right. It is. Even though I did like modern Who.
Initially, I watched it all, but I found
until it was Peter Capaldi's, I believe it was season 10, when he had Bill with him after Clara left. That was the real. You felt the ship turning real hard at that point, and then of course afterwards it was completely unwatchable. I did try. I watched season 1 with her first season 11, and I gave it a shot.
Well, I was very similar. I used to watch it. Me and my friend used to actually text each other while we were watching it, and any time she was down, we would sit there and we would have the fish fingers and custard and all of that. We were watching it, and I used to buy the DVDs same as with all the rest. And then at one time I just turned around and I realised half of my DVDs weren't even out the case. I'd never rewatched them. So obviously it's to the point I'm not rewatching the stuff. I remember it. I'm just not rewatched it,
Right.
and I'm sort of enjoying it. But I thought it was all flash, no bang. It's a case of oh look, oh look, oh look. It was every 10 minutes they wanted somebody to look up from the phone, so they would do something. It was a big flashy thing, but the stories were quite short, and it was just expanded with all the flashy stuff. But that was not an issue because you could sit and relax and watch it without having to worry. But once they turned Missy, they made Missy the master. I saw the turn and I just realised. So I stopped watching it after a wee while. And then when Peter Capaldi came in, I thought, I like Peter Capaldi. Met Peter Capaldi years and years and years ago.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
He used to drink the same pub as me. That's only in Glasgow, so he did. So I knew him before when he was an actor, but before I knew he was into Doctor Who or anything like that. But it's just a case of just hi type thing, as because he recognised him. But I thought, oh, Peter Capaldi, he's a big Doctor Who fan. Maybe they'll steer it. And then I was watching it. I didn't even watch the end of Capaldi's run, so I never saw the end, and I never saw any of it because it was basically a case of.
Hey, good morning, Gray. This is my man in Japan.
Hello.
It's good to see you. So Gray is the one, Peter, that I was saying he does all the comic book reviews of. Literally, it looks like the comic books that are worth reading. He seems to find all of them because that's a tough job.
The most recent comic book I picked up was this range.
Oh, RoboCop and Terminator.
RoboCop versus Terminator. I was in the Comic Con.
Oh, that's awesome!
The full run for a tenner, £10. So that's mate, I've still got them there to read, and I've got the Ashfield Evil Dead still to read. I've still got that in my list. It's still not in its packet because I keep going. I'll pick it up. Oh no, I don't want to actually take it out of the packet. I need to read it, but no, I don't want to take it out of the packet. It's one of those, so I'm going to read it. I'm going to eventually dig it out because there's going to be times, especially with the sun coming out here, there's going to be times I can relax. I can just get the old reading glasses on when I was a lad. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. So I've still got that recommendation by some perfect guy who actually recommended it. I didn't even know it existed. I definitely picked it up, and I'm so looking forward to reading it. It's just a case of so busy at the moment.
I do hope you like it. It's not like you're unfamiliar with the story, but it is fun having it in a different format.
Yeah, I do like my Ash because, as you know, up there, I was saying I've got the Ash statue, and behind it, I've got 3 cell pictures from Ash, Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. Up there, I've got Briscoe County and another Ash figure. And over there, I've got an A3 poster of Ash with blood all over his face. I do like my Ash video.
So good.
I do like my Bruce
So
Campbell.
good.
Bruce Campbell's one of my favourite actors. Anything he's in, I'll watch just because. His most recent one, Black Friday, was great.
It was a hilarious movie.
It was fantastic. I was sitting there watching it going, yep.
I honestly thought I was the only person that saw that movie, so I feel pretty good right now.
I thought that was fantastic. I was thinking, how's it going to be? But the Ash 3 Evil Dead, the reboot, I thought was really good. And I thought, I can't imagine Bruce Campbell volunteering to do something that was bad. Yes, something that was maybe when he was starting out, he would do all these cheap ones with his friends. Not an issue because everybody starts. But I was a wee bit, is it going to be good? And then I started watching it and I thought, it's better than that. It was just so Bruce Campbell. It was so. At one point, I must admit, I was expecting him to go chainsaw, and he did. At the one point, he actually picks up a chainsaw, and I thought, yes. And Burn Notice, I love Burn Notice. I've got my Hawaiian shirt upstairs. Occasionally, I'll do my Chuck Finlay. But I'm a big.
We could talk about Bruce Campbell for probably about 4 hours straight.
Definitely. One day I want to do a Bruce Campbell covering Briscoe County Jr., Jack of all trades, Evil Dead, burn notice. Anything he's been in. I've got Bubba Hotep. We did one. We did a review.
Bubba Hotep is such a beautiful, underrated movie. It is.
It is.
The comedy and the writing are so good because it's weird as all hell.
And
The mummy that sucks your soul out of your ass. It's brilliant.
And the fact is, at the end of it, you don't know if he was telling the truth. Was he Elvis or not? Because his friend thought he was JFK and had dyed his skin.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there thinking, but was he Elvis? You don't know, and it doesn't tell you. You just have to believe him or not. And you're sitting there thinking, that was so well written to the point where there's no definitive, because it's so convincing, but you realise his friend is so convincing that
He's batshit crazy.
and the CIA had dyed his skin, even his wanger, just to make it. Really? So is Elvis is the same, and you're sitting there thinking, this is absolute nuts, but it is fun. And there's a shop near us, and they had 2 of the figures, and I was going to go down, but they're £70 each. And
Ooh.
I'm sitting there thinking, can I afford £140? Nah. Can I afford 70? Probably not. So I went down and I got the Godzilla figure behind me, £35. So I just got that.
Every time I buy a new figure, Pieces of the Empire is now reminding me that's money I need to be putting towards a new computer. So she's not wrong. I did some cancellations this morning, so no new Batman for me for a little while.
Yeah. Mrs. Maybe's restrictions is no matter what I get, it stays in here. It doesn't go anywhere else in the house. So Mrs. Maybe knows that I spend, but she knows fine well that I'll not buy something that's not for in this room. So, but then again, I'm going to actually. Mrs. Maybe loves Shawshank Redemption, so the 2 of us are going to sit and watch that prior to me doing the preview. I was trying to convince her to come on, but she said no.
I tried to get Mrs. of the Empire to come on often as well. She's like, no. I'm like, all right, I get it. The worlds have to remain separate. And then,
yeah, so, we can but hope.
So
I don't want Mrs. Maybe, because everybody will start saying, "What's she seen you?" And unfortunately, when my dad met her, says, "What's wrong with you? What you seen him?" That's my father for you, and he really likes me. But basically, you're punching. Not a case of you're punching above your weight. You're stepping down. Going to stop saying that to my future wife.
yeah, you're not helping here.
But yeah, everybody, all my family actually think she's actually settling for me. So what have I done right? I don't know.
Well, you got to roll with the good ones when you get them, man. It's
Yeah, definitely. So, but yes, she's basically, her world and my world are separate. There's only certain things we like together, and we can sit and relax and enjoy those together. The rest of the stuff, I don't like her stuff, she doesn't like my stuff. We're okay with that. As long as we don't need to talk about it, because explain it. Well, no, explain it simpler. How can you explain something simple? It doesn't work unless you know what I'm explaining. I can be simple if you know what I'm talking about. So if I say he was in the Enterprise, right? What's the Enterprise? Well, you told me to make it simple. Now I have to explain what the Enterprise is, and I have to explain the Federation, and I have to. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's a lot of layers. That's a lot of layers. How much time do you have?
Yeah, exactly. You can only make it simple if they already know the complicated stuff. You can't make it simple otherwise. Especially when they actually go, but what does that mean? Or what's that? Well, you either accept the simple and just accept what I say, or no. Yeah, that's why I've got none of that left. I just kept pulling it out. Mind you, 3 daughters as well, so that didn't help.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I have a couple of those as well.
Yeah. Honest, I'm only 20.
You're doing good.
Yeah, But it's just one of those things. I always said I was born with three sisters bullying me, and I'm going to die with three sisters bullying me. Three older sisters, three daughters. So,
Wow.
uh-huh.
Really, both sides. You're getting it from both sides.
Right. Yeah, so I'm in touch with my parents' side because my three sisters wouldn't have let me know, and my three daughters wouldn't have let me know. So yes, I've done the makeup, I've done everything, I've got my nails been done and everything, and when I was an adult. So my kids.
See, Rosie said, "No, don't wrap up." Did you see that? Or did you? we were going to wrap up about 20 minutes ago, but then we started talking.
Actually, when somebody gets me talking, I find it hard to shut up.
Well,
I'm Scottish. I'm half Scottish, half Italian. Well, I'm actually half Scottish, a quarter Italian, quarter Irish. So all four of my sides are actually are talkers. I've got the gift of the gab, as they say. So
I'm half Italian, Sicilian, and then half Irish. So
yeah, San Biagio di Saracina. I'm on the mountain near Sorrento, so I'm southern Italy.
Oh wow!
Not as far south as Sicily. So,
and I've never been to Europe because I suck. When I was in the Navy, all the places I went were places that no one wanted to go.
I've been a few times, but I've never actually. My father's visited the villages his father was born in, and accordingly saw the land my grandfather owned. It's the shape and size of a house plot, because see that gap between that house and that house. That's where your father was born, and that's his house. So he still owns that land, and that's literally the size of a house. That's it.
Wow.
The land he lived in Italy, because his family grew up there, and that was they owned it before they moved, and it's still theirs. So,
well, I'm hoping to get over there one day before I expire, which at this rate could be in a month or two. Who knows? But it's on the list.
Yeah, I want to get back over to the States. I do enjoy it. So I do. So we've been to Vegas. We've been to New York. We've done a few trips around. We did the Grand Canyon stuff and the Hoover Dam. And
you've been more places in the States than I have.
Since I got married, I've also done Moscow. I've done.
Oh wow!
Each of the cities. When I was a kid, when in school, they were going to go a trip to Moscow. £1,500, and considering how old I am, you can imagine.
That was a lot back then. No, yes, it wouldn't. Yeah.
Was so I was 17, 40 years ago. £1,500, and my dad just went, "No, sorry, Dad, can you do that without laughing? No, £1,500." Oh. And then that was it. So no, and I've always wanted to go. My daughter went over there and she was working, so we went to visit her, and we went during the 70th VE celebrations. And my God, it was beautiful. The displays and everything, the tanks on reds, we had a lot. It was just amazing. Wouldn't want to go back nowadays. At the moment.
Well, at the moment, clearly
at the moment, but we loved it, and because my daughter had learned Russian, and she basically was our tour guide, it was even better. She did the same in China as well. She did work 2 years there, and she was learning Chinese. So she's more travelled than I was at her age. The first time I had left.
Oh, what game? Gang of Four. The pre-game was kind of a joke as a pre-game for FNT.
Yes, because the father usually does his afternoon stretch before Friday night tights, and he was a bit exhausted today, so he cancelled it. So
we're filling the gap.
Well, we could have called it the pre-game, but we don't want to steal the father's thunder. We like communicated both.
Actually, given my bad communication at the beginning, we're lucky we're both here at all. Time zones, they're important.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for 2.5 hours to see if you turn up again. But
and FNT just went live, so how late are they? They're only 15 minutes late. I guess that's not too bad.
Right. Well, we'll finish off so we can actually get over to watch Roman, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed that. And
Oh, this is
you are always welcome on Let's Talk Geeky. We do it 8 o'clock UK, so that's roughly 12 o'clock your time.
I'm retired. I'm always available.
I still want to retire. I'm 5 years away from retiring. Technically, I'm 11 years away from retiring, but I want to retire early. I wanted to retire when I'm 60, but it's going to be at least 62. Once the house is paid, I'm retiring.
Ah.
Sooner. So that's it. I'm 5 years away.
Well, thank you for being on with me today. I really do appreciate it. This was totally impromptu, and it was a lot of fun. I had a good time, and we realized that I can't have anything running in the background, or I go all robot. So it's important to know.
I learned that the hard lesson a good few months ago, because now when I'm running, I can't even have other tabs open in my machine. So I can't even have the things I was watching. I have to just go to my history to watch them later on, because I can't keep them active. It's terrible. With I don't know if it's a StreamYard issue or something else, but
for me, I know exactly what it is for me, but that's going to be somewhere between $700 and $1,000 later. But so thank you to everybody who showed up today as well. Please subscribe to PJ Maybe on YouTube, and he's on Twitter as well. You cover a lot of content. Go pitch your channel real fast.
Well, my favourite saying is, I'm not old, I'm classic. I cover classic stuff mainly. There is some new stuff we do, but it's very rare. We cover classic movies, classic TVs, US and UK, because I grew up watching all of them. Comic books, we still talk about comics, we talk about anime, we talk about cartoons, we talk about anything geeky we like to enjoy, because there's a few of us on it and we've all got different interests. We do reviews of TV shows, movies and stuff like that, and we just have fun talking geeky, just talking about what we enjoy talking about. As we would do, we would normally end up in the pub talking to your friends. That's what we do, and we encourage everybody in the chat to join in. It is fun.
And it is a lot of fun being able to watch your. I've watched your show many times now since we've become acquainted, and I always enjoy it. So thank you for being here today. Congratulations to Eric July on his huge success, and that's a win for all of us. That's a win for all of us.
I've got to send a message just to say, how much would it be for the UK? Because it always comes up in the US as if it's shipped to US. And he did say,
They hit the question mark and throw the question at them, and they'll get back to you because they've responded to my questions.
He would even ship to the Taliban, remember? If they wanted it, he would ship it out. So yes, he will ship it out. I just need to know the price first. And I've just not had a chance to actually put the question forward. I've been chasing up my big chief stuff, so priorities.
I understand. I do understand. Rosie, thanks for being here as always. It's always good to see you in the chat, and thank you to all the folks who showed up today. And I guess we're all going to wander over to FNT, so we'll see you later.
Ta-da!